Your tendency to avoid certain people is a sophisticated psychological protection system central to your personality type. As an INFJ, you have 5 distinct filtering mechanisms that function like invisible shields, adapting to different social environments and energies that most people simply don't experience. In this video, I'll explain exactly how these filters work and why they're essential for your well-being. You'll discover subtle ways to honor your natural boundaries without isolating yourself completely. If you've ever felt guilty about needing space or being selective with your social energy, this information will transform your self-perception and validate your intuitive boundaries. Before we start, please hit the like button, comment, and subscribe so you won't miss any of our weekly deep dives into the world of personality types. And if you're looking to achieve a deeper understanding of yourself and your personality type, click the link in the comments to take our favorite free personality test. Number 1, the Empathic Shield Energy Preservation Techniques. Ever noticed how you can feel physically exhausted after a conversation that energized everyone else in the room? That's not weakness or introversion alone. Your INFJ cognitive architecture is functioning exactly as designed. We're talking about your empathic shield as the first layer of protection in your social filtering system. As an INFJ, your brain operates a sophisticated energy management system through your auxiliary extroverted feeling function. Your FE works like a perpetually active sponge, absorbing the emotional states of others without a ringing mechanism to release them. Unlike other personality types who recognize emotions, your brain internalizes them. I experienced this at a conference last year. While others left energized after 3 hours of networking, I needed to hide in my hotel room for an equal amount of time to function again. The problem? This absorption happens indiscriminately. Excitement, anxiety, joy, tension, they all flow into your emotional processing center equally, creating what INFJs in my research describe as emotional pollution, residual feelings that aren't yours but somehow stay with you hours or days after an interaction ends. These absorbed emotions trigger your dominant introverted intuition, which analyzes everything you've taken in, a double energy tax that depletes your reserves. The solution requires practical energy preservation techniques. Schedule mandatory decompression time after social events. Even 15 minutes in a quiet space can reset your system. Create an energy budget before committing to social obligations. Position yourself strategically in social settings to limit sensory input, choosing the edge of a room rather than the center. These approaches honor your natural cognitive wiring rather than fighting against it. Number 2, the intuitive radar, detecting toxic personalities. Those energy preservation techniques provide essential protection, but are only part of the story. Beyond the emotional sponge effect we've discussed, lies something even more remarkable about the INFJ mind. An unconscious pattern recognition system that forms the second layer of your social filter. This intuitive radar actively screens potential connections before they can drain you. Have you ever met someone and immediately felt uncomfortable without knowing why? Perhaps at a work event, you shook hands with a seemingly friendly colleague but felt an inexplicable unease, only to discover troubling aspects of their character. What you might have dismissed as paranoia was your sophisticated internal detection system at work, your dominant introverted intuition partners with your tertiary introverted thinking, to create what research describes as a sophisticated lie detection system. Essentially a built-in truth analyzer scanning for inconsistencies most people miss entirely. This radar operates by constantly scanning for incongruence, the subtle misalignment between what someone says and who they are. It picks up micro-expressions, detects shifts in tone, and identifies behavioral patterns that don't match a person's stated intentions, creating that unmistakable gut feeling when something isn't right. INFJ's avoidance of certain people stems from their cognitive functions, performing rapid, thin slicing, making accurate assessments based on minimal information. Your brain processes social information on multiple levels simultaneously, predicting future behavior with surprising accuracy. When you sense potential toxicity, you're recognizing interactions that would deplete your limited emotional resources. This protective mechanism deserves your trust rather than doubt. Honoring this intuitive filter, you acknowledge a legitimate need to surround yourself with authentic people. This is recognizing that your social energy is a precious resource worth protecting. Number 3, the value fortress, setting boundaries without guilt. Beyond your intuitive radar lies a third protective mechanism that manifests in a fascinating way. That unmistakable physical discomfort when someone pressures you to compromise on your core values. That tightness in your chest, the knot in your stomach, or that wave of anxiety isn't weakness. It's your value fortress activating, a sophisticated defense system protecting the foundation of your INFJ identity. Your value fortress acts like a fortified castle, standing guard over what matters most to you. Research shows that INFJs experience value violations as genuine physical and emotional distress. The interconnected nature of your cognitive functions means that when your values are compromised, it creates internal dissonance that materializes as actual pain. These values form the cornerstone of your well-being. They're fundamental survival mechanisms. Imagine sitting in a team meeting where colleagues push for a shortcut that compromises ethics. Your stomach tightens, your heart races, and your value fortress alarms are sounding. The challenge isn't establishing boundaries, enforcing them without the overwhelming guilt triggered by your fee function. As an INFJ, you're wired to feel others' emotions deeply. When those emotions register as disappointment, the conflict can feel unbearable. This explains the door slam phenomenon, complete withdrawal from relationships where one's boundaries have been repeatedly violated. This isn't drama, but a protective measure when all other boundary attempts have failed. Studies confirm that INFJs who master boundary setting without apology experience significantly lower rates of burnout. The key skill involves recognizing guilt as information rather than a command to yield. When guilt surfaces as you assert a boundary, reframe it as a signal that you're protecting something valuable. Number 4, the depth detector, finding compatible connections. That strange, unsettled feeling you experience during casual conversation isn't rudeness or social anxiety. It's your 4th protective filter in action. I call this your depth detector, a sophisticated mechanism that operates through your dominant introverted intuition, quietly assessing whether an interaction has the potential for meaning beyond weather updates and weekend plans. For most personality types, small talk is a neutral bridge to a deeper connection or simply passes time pleasantly. But for you as an INFJ, these surface-level exchanges actively drain your mental resources, creating what researchers identify as an energy deficit that makes social avoidance a psychological necessity. Your brain calculates whether this interaction will yield depth, like discussing how experiences shape personal values, or remain stuck in the shallows of weekend plans and Netflix recommendations. Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling inexplicably drained, despite the other person being perfectly pleasant? This explains why you form fewer but more profound connections. Your depth detector scans for companions capable of mutual growth and understanding, allowing you to invest your limited social energy wisely and focus on nourishing connections. Look for depth markers in conversation. Does the person share vulnerably? Do they ask why questions, exploring motivations, rather than just what questions about facts? Can they sit comfortably in reflective silence? When conversations remain superficial despite your attempts to deepen them, have graceful exits ready. I need to process some thoughts alone, or I've enjoyed chatting but need to recharge. This honors your legitimate need for meaningful connection. By recognizing when an interaction lacks depth potential and choosing to disengage, you're practicing necessary self-care. Number 5, the authenticity monitor. Maintaining genuine relationships. While recognizing when to step back from shallow interactions is valuable, what happens when those supposedly deeper relationships still leave you feeling strangely empty? Your 5th protective filter, the authenticity monitor, is sounding its alarm. This final layer of the INFJ social defense system goes beyond simply seeking depth. It constantly evaluates whether you can exist as your genuine self or must maintain an exhausting performance to preserve the relationship. As an INFJ, you're particularly vulnerable to persona fatigue, a distinctive exhaustion that develops when you consistently present a version of yourself that conflicts with your core values. Like Maya, who spent months suppressing her environmental concerns at a corporate job until she experienced complete emotional burnout. This chronic self-suppression depletes emotional resources and can trigger withdrawal or severe mental health issues. The authenticity monitor evaluates whether relationships provide sufficient space for your genuine thoughts without constant self-censorship. This internal gauge helps determine which connections nurture your true self and which silently drain you through inauthenticity. When you notice this draining performance, it becomes crucial to recognize the difference between healthy social adaptation and harmful self-suppression. Healthy adaptation involves adjusting behavior while maintaining one's core self, whereas self-suppression requires hiding fundamental aspects of one's identity. You can test and build authenticity incrementally by observing energy dynamics. Research shows that regular evaluation of whether exchanges feel mutually energizing or depleting is a foundation for authentic connection. try gradual authenticity testing, revealing more of your genuine opinions and values to gauge reactions. Creating dedicated spaces where you can fully express yourself with compatible individuals provides a sanctuary for your authentic self, protecting against the cumulative effects of persona fatigue. As we end our journey through these 5 protective filters, I want you to remember something crucial. This intricate social navigation system isn't a defect that needs fixing. It's a sophisticated protection mechanism perfectly aligned with your INFJ cognitive structure. Research confirms that authenticity is associated with higher life satisfaction and reduced emotional burnout. One psychology researcher beautifully captures this key insight. The answer here is to be your authentic self and avoid all the people who don't appreciate the authentic you. Your selectivity in social situations reflects your emotional intelligence. Embrace it as your unique strength. If you want to continue the journey to understanding yourself or an INFJ in your life, click either of the following videos where we continue to unlock the secrets of the INFJ personality type.